Part 46. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 462. 11 Wei realized that Lannister in front of him was the very promising magician aristocrat in Natalia's mouth. Princess Olivia almost reached the object of the marriage contract. Only 20 years have passed, Princess Olivia has become a beautiful woman, and the Blue Dragon Master in front of me seems to be only about 20 years old. The long lifespan of the dragons also slowed down their aging. Although Lannister is not a purebred blue dragon, he is still a long-lived species. In a sense, the legendary and above professionals have hundreds of years or even thousands of years, compared with the average life expectancy of only 50 years, almost no species. This is the fascinating part of extraordinary power. Countless people struggle for the rest of their lives. They are more than money, beauty, and rights. As long as they have powerful extraordinary power, money, beauty, and rights are at your fingertips. And no matter which road, extraordinary power will inevitably bring longevity, the passage of time will not be so deadly, and aging and death will be delayed. What a wonderful future. Mr. Westway, I think you must have considered a lot. The future of Arcane is now in your hands. This right is so great. I hope that you will not blind your eyes because of your private. You missed this and can change the world. Opportunity. Lannister gave the final advice. I have seen many young and promising wizards, but most of them are indulged in strength or others, and they can no longer move on. Obviously, Lannister said this sentence, and has a lot to do with Olivia and Natalia. Ziwei solemnly nodded. This advice is very pertinent. However, Ziwei is not a young man who suddenly controls the power and rights. His heart has been honed in the long sea of stars for decades. Uru is like steel. Lannister Hugo once again flew up to the sky, transformed into a huge blue dragon, stretched the dragon wing full of power, walked through the clouds, all the way north. He flew so fast that it took less than a day to return to Polly. I really want to take Xiao Meryl with me, but she disagrees. Dela showed a regretful expression. Meryl is also a very talented young man, her future will shine. I see Silver's spell list, a very innovative creation. It cannot even be completely counted as a domain of architecture, but the integration of the elements of the school, the soul, and other schools, with the new version of the update, will certainly be even more advanced. I feel from the students of Violet College that it is completely different from the traditional magician school. Maybe they are the future arcane masters. In the 3 days here, I feel the future of magic, that is to belong to Austria, the era of surgery. Come on, Ziwei, a better future is waiting for us to create. I will do my best to make my own efforts for the arcane. Thank you for your trust and dedication. Ziwei will never let you down. Ziwei is grateful to the 7th law. Without her trust and full support, then the promotion of Arcane will not be able to so smooth. This tower was built by Descartes. The original tailing was designed by me, Dela said with emotion. You are also half of his students. I hope that you can go on the element school far, really make the next title legend. The Descartes master has helped me a lot, otherwise I will probably not be able to resist it when the pirates invade. Ziwei sincerely responded. The elemental school will surely grow in the near future. I believe Descartes the wizard should still be alive now. Maybe he has already discovered the true mystery of the elemental school in the elemental plane. Dela smiled and shook her head. I hope so. Christine will give it to you. Although she is a big aristocratic family, she is a rare good girl. Don't hurt her heart, this is a violent thing. Ziwei was silent and he could not respond. Well, I am leaving, see you next time. The white light flashed, and Dixela's figure disappeared. She had left Violet Island and was using space magic to return to the Thousand Law Tower. The inaugural issue of the entire 800 Arcane will soon be spread from the towers of the Thousand Laws and the Royal Academy of Magic, the 2 most magical places in the world, and the remaining 200 will remain 50 except Violet. In addition, the rest will be distributed to other countries. The inaugural issue of Arcane is not only the preface of the 5th and 7th laws, but also the 2 separate papers. The remaining dozens of papers are from the hands of legendary casters and magic masters. Such magical literature is simply rare treasure, no magician can resist its charm. In fact, the magic civilizations of these countries are relatively weaker. Although they cannot be said to be the desert of magical civilization, they have a huge gap compared with the Holy Norman Empire and the French Kingdom. But such a magical barren land also has a unique advantage, that is, the old magical tradition is weak, and the arcane flower is more likely to grow from these weak places. The fire of the stars can be used to poke the original. Now, it is time for Ziwei to personally plant the flower of the arcane. Supporting Ziwei's enthusiasm for this step, that is, Ziwei's space school inheritance has once again achieved tremendous growth, and the 12 most infinite inscriptions used to construct the legendary spell breaking the world's general knowledge. Ziwei has completed the analysis of 6 of the empty inscriptions. Under the feedback of his master, the long-distance space transmission capability can be broken or broken. In the Violet Fort, Ziwei and Kama met again, and Kumiao informed Ziwei of the development of the Violin Chamber of Commerce. As a member of the Rothschild family, Kami is a family heir contender cultivated by the Chamber of Fortune. He has maintained a good relationship with the son of the Duke of Orleans, relying on the influence of the Chamber of Commerce in the Kingdom of France and the growing influence of the Par Daily Force. The Violet Chamber of Commerce open to every major city in the Kingdom of France, whether it is the growth of the popular vehicles, cameras, or other magic industrial products, has created a huge amount of wealth. At the same time, he used the money to invest in value-added, but also purchased a large number of materials, props, seeds, animals, books, and other commodities needed by Ziwei for the development of the Violet Academy. It can be said that the head of the Violet Chamber of Commerce is very beautiful, and perfectly fulfills the responsibilities and tasks entrusted by Ziwei. Therefore, for such a capable talent who can be independent, Ziwei is not worthy of reward. In addition to allocating a small amount of dividends, the level of the magical individual's magician is also key. The secret of the elemental school is completely open to the card. In 5 months, the card has also grown from the original ring magician to the level of the 3-ring magician. This is already a very good speed. Try this, Violet Austrian Pharmacy. You need 100 arcane points to redeem one. You can speed up your magic and spiritual growth. Ziwei handed a card to the whole 50 Violet Austrian Pharmacy, which is enough support him to advance to a high-level magician. Thank you very much for the generosity of President Ziwei. Kami is grateful for this. Although he has great wealth and superb ability to earn money, he is not so talented for the profession of magic. But for the Violet, he got a good return, not only benefited a lot from money, but more importantly, he also gained respect and understanding and trust, and the level of the magician grew at a rapid rate. Therefore, Qiao is full of fighting spirit for the next very challenging work. He pointed out the map on the map of the Orient continent on the study wall and introduced the magician power of the whole continent to Ziwei. In addition to the 2 most brilliant magic centers of the Thousand Law Tower and the Royal Academy of Magical Academy, there are 3 main places of magicians in the whole of the Orient continent. One is the Northern Territory, which Council of Renaissance. The snow-covered land of Rishua is sparsely populated. They are the first countries to use taboo witch power to fight the orcs in the grasslands. The witches have a very high status and rights in this country. The second is the United Magic School in Venice, the commercial capital. There are 12 magic schools here. As long as there is money, almost any magic books, spells and scrolls, and strange things can be bought. The magic here is the most mixed. Whether it is the 7 major spell schools, the taboos of the dead, the spiritual school, or all kinds of bizarre spellcasters are active. The third is the capital of the Danish Dominion, Copenhagen, which is also home to the Rothschild family's Golden Fort. North of Copenhagen is the North Sea, North of the North Sea is the country of the mountains where the dwarves are entrenched. It can be said that the trade of the North Sea route and the proud kingdom has created the commercial prosperity of Copenhagen. To the south of the Danish peninsula is the Knights of the Rhine Union. This country is the most unfriendly to the magician. They believe in power and regard magic as witchcraft, so it can be said that it is a real magical desert. However, Copenhagen is a true magical academic center. The magicians here have established their own Copenhagen College and have a long history. The original fourth law was to establish the inheritance and system of the summoning school here. However, the fourth method has disappeared from the Orient world about 600 years ago, and it has never appeared again. Therefore, the magical academic center of Copenhagen is gradually unable to cope with the first law and the seventh law. The tower is compared to the Royal French Academy of Magic, which has the fifth law. The Commercial Magical Institute of Venice, is the responsibility of you. I will go to the Kingdom of Rennes to visit the North Witch Council, and finally we will be in Copenhagen. If Ziwei wants to establish a system of arcane masters, then it is necessary to have a deep understanding and investigation of the magical pattern of the entire Orient continent. This promotion of the inaugural issue of Arcane is a very good opportunity. I will try my best to accomplish this mission. Kamiao just looked at the inaugural issue of Arcane and knew what kind of rare treasures this thick magic book is in his hands, so he was full of his next work. Confidence. Remember, you are the messenger sent by the Arcanists Association. Don't worry too much. Choose the most suitable person from the United Magic Academy and let them see me in Violet Island 1 month later. Ziwei told the card, I have prepared a set of transportation for you. Ziwei took out a diamond ring with white light. This is a long-distance transmission ring. You can set your own position and distance. You can transfer up to 500 kilometers at a time, and you can use it 5 times a day. The deviation is not large, and there is a function of emergency transmission at a dangerous time. Sending spells is always much simpler than portal spells. This is the rare magic that Ziwei has created with the latest breakthrough in the Third Order Void inscription. As the head of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, Xie Miao needs to travel frequently throughout the continent of Orient. Unfortunately, his own strength is still too weak to match this important responsibility, so Ziwei had to make several more effective copies for him. Magical things. There is also a spare luxury magic wagon to summon the bell. Just shake the golden bell and you can summon a flying carriage for a magical time. It can only be used 3 times a day. The time is tight. I will set off first. Kay received the transmission ring and summoned the bell, leaving the Violet Castle. Natalia was preparing to build the arcane core during this time. She first gave her the best 20-man blood force in the Knights. The Adjutant Boel and the Lincoln Knight were able to carry 2 8th Order bloodlines. The upper limit of the future is the 8th Order Blood Knight. After that, Natalia entered the Smooth Plain with her loyal Guardian Knights, pointing here and training the new formation of the Blue Big God Temple. The 800-strong army consisting entirely of temple priests and trainee priests. In addition, there are 10 Night Elf Mage and 30 Night Elf Hunters. 50 Night Elf warriors also belong to Natalia's Majesty. She instantly became a military of nearly 1,000 people. The highest commander. During this time, Zero has also been helping Natalia to complete the preparation of the arcane core, where she uses her own human form. There was a lot less time between Ziwei and Natalia. Everyone was busy. Ziwei had only had time to enter the Smooth Plain and Natalia had a simple farewell. The journey to the Kingdom of Rennes. Since the first meeting of the Arcanists and the important events of the Arctic Eons Association will be held in a month or so, Ziwei has no leisure time as leisurely as he did last time. He chose the most efficient way. Directly launch space transfer. This time, he had fresh toys and feedback from the masters of the original fire. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 463. For the supreme creation of the original fire class, Sylvia has a very strong curiosity and wants to get close to it. However, the original fire is now in a dormant period and can only be fixed in the Tower of Intelligent Equipment. Didelot welcomed Ziwei to go to the Thousand French Tower before leaving, but was rejected by 11 Wei's rumors. There is always a hunch in his life, and it is not the time to directly contact the first law of Telephat. The light blue fire brought back by Christine is close to the eyebrow, and Ziwei draws wisdom and strength from this fire. The knowledge from the original fire was transmitted to the mind of Ziwei through the fire. The knowledge completely belonging to another civilization and power system greatly expanded the understanding of Ziwei, and also gave him a deeper and more appropriate understanding of the architecture. More knowledge is stored in zero absorption. These knowledge about construction and mechanics are too difficult for ordinary people to understand. However, for zero, it is very consistent with its own logic. She is receiving at a very fast speed this knowledge. The soul of Ziwei's dream star treasure was shocked and swayed by a strange energy in the light blue fire. His soul level rose again, and the boundary between the mortal and the gods became closer. Before receiving the light cyan fire, Ziwei got a reminder of Christine, making a mechanical pet of his own, Nini, a mechanical bird. Nini's surface was meticulously processed by Ziwei with a change school spell, giving her flesh and feathers. She has yellow-green wings, orange-red heads, green eyes, and orange-yellow knuckles, which look very cute. The gift from the original fire was injected into this mechanical bird, giving her high intelligence, which is similar to human beings and more successful in computing. The newly born Nini was excited to fly around Ziwei, and finally reluctantly waved her wings and ascended to the sky. Her eyes sparkled in a pale blue light, scanning all the fields of view into the zero, and the new Nini has super detection ability. She has a built-in 3D holographic map, which can accurately describe the orientation and be used for auxiliary space transmission. Among the violet castles, Zero and Ziwei will smile, and once again entangled with the Ziwei soul double helix, fully activate the transmission spell. The target is located in the far northeast of the mainland of the Orient, the remote Resin Kingdom. Nini quickly swooped down and got into the long sleeve of the Ziwei magic robe. With a flash of white light, 11 Wei's figure traversed such a long distance in the temporary space passage. His body surface has a shelter from the space and protection of the two university schools. The long-distance space transmission has an exponential rise in pressure on the magician's body. If there is no shelter for the spell, the body is easily broken by the space eddy. However, with the feedback of the Master of Space Magic Masters, with the resonance of Zero Perfect Soul, Ziwei's transmission has crossed a farther distance than any previous space transmission. When coming out of the temporary space channel, it will enter the reality again. When I was in the middle, I found myself lying on a small mountain forest. In the distance, there was a grassland, and there was a small mountain village at the foot of the mountain. I will fly Nini again, compare the surrounding environment with the map of Orient, and a small town 50 kilometers away will enter Nini's field of vision. Ziwei can finally conclude that he has come to the northwest of the Kingdom of Italy, and the border of the Kingdom of France. This means that the transmission of Ziwei directly transmitted a straight line distance of more than 1,000 kilometers, and there is almost no deviation in the direction. This time the transmission is far from the limit of Ziwei. He just took a break and started the long-distance transmission again. This time, Ziwei appeared on the border between the Holy Norman Empire and the Rhine Union. This transmission spanned the entire territory of the Holy Norman Empire and was a distance of 3,000 kilometers. This means that the whole of the Orient continent, the West, can be everywhere. As he continues to grow, travel in the Orient world will be more and more relaxed. All the way to the northeast, the temperature is also undergoing dramatic changes. In the warm West, Gold Sea is still more than 20 degrees of warm summer. After the territory of the Kingdom of Rennes, it is already around zero. The area of the Kingdom of Rennes is even wider than the Holy Norman Empire, but most of the area is covered with cold white snow. The people here grow up in the snow, and the body is more burly, known as the Fighting Nation. It was originally a wild land, and even the orcs were not willing to set foot. However, more than 1,000 years ago, the Roman family of the royal family of Riesel was exiled to the land. They were between the mountains and the cold, and the North giants fought and eventually established their own castle and kingdom. The most prestigious of the kingdom of Rishua is the witch and the barbarian. The witches use the magical style of the witch. It can be said that it is a mixture of warlocks and mages, and the barbarians of the Fighting Nation are learning the mystery of the spirit. After that, it is even more powerful. They are more sturdy and taller. Their average height is more than 2 meters. The strongest is even close to 3 meters. The kingdom of Ressa has never been the center of the Orient world. No matter whether it is aristocrat or culture, it is not accepted by the upper class of the Orient world. However, walking on this wild land, Ziwei felt the power of the Fighting Nation. Both men and women, they all like to drink alcohol, a high-intensity golden distilled liquor. Even after drinking a wine, even a woman can easily lift a few 100 pounds of giants. Men are even more dare to fight with the giant bear tiger. It is precisely because of this Ziwei is more and more curious about the Northland witches. In his imagination, these witches are probably all burly, with strong arms and huge blocks. There are not many witches in the north, they have a high status in the kingdom of Res, and they are concentrated in the mage towers of several big cities. Ziwei did not find traces of witches in several villages and towns, and eventually had to go directly to Ellendale, the capital of the kingdom of Renesis. This city of snow and ice is located in the northwestern part of the kingdom of Rennes, at the mouth of the Neva River, across the sea from the country of the Dwarf Mountains. This is a new city. 184 years ago, the then king of Risha moved to the capital and built it into a beautiful white city. The most central and most beautiful place of Allendale is undoubtedly the castle of the Romanov family, the Winter Snow Palace. Around the Winter Snow Palace, 3 white towers that go straight into the Kingyun are erected. This is the headquarters of the North Witches Parliament and the core of the entire Rhesus Kingdom. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 464. There is a word that has been circulating for a long time between the magicians: the Master Tower is the kingdom of a master. Here, the master is the king. Every Master Tower is condensed with almost all the wisdom and creation of this Master Tower. To defeat the master in a Master Tower, the difficulty must be doubled and doubled. Overlooking the sky, the towers of the 3 North Witches Parliaments are clearly the product of the same style, forming a standard equilateral triangle that encloses the Winter Snow Palace in the center. The 3 mage towers are each other's corners, and the underground magical array engraves the 3 mage towers, which dominates the magic of this area and protects the safety of the Winter Snow Palace to the greatest extent. The North Witch Council is exclusive and conservative. Just like the kingdom of Rennes, the witch's magic is more secretive and primitive, and there is still a great deviation from the idea of arcane. In order to better promote arcane, Ziwei had to take some more pressing methods, such as: It's a wonderful day. In the steepest attic of the tallest white pagoda, a young witch in a white robe stands in front of the narrow window of the tower and looks out at the scenery outside the window. The fundus, the beautiful Winter Snow Palace, the neat streets, the unfrozen Neva River, and the distant harbor and the sea. Her eyes are full of sorrow. I really want to be able to walk down this tower, at Allendale free dance on the streets. Suddenly the wind started, and the icy cold wind swept the snow around the snow-capped mountains. The snow fluttered and danced around the sky. The witch's face showed a happy smile. Her favorite is the world of ice and snow. She gently reached out and went through the snow to get close to the snow elves. The crystal snow fluttered around her fingers as if she were alive. Come. However, the wind is getting bigger and bigger. the wind and snow cover the sun, the sky has become dark yellow, and it is still noon, but it is like a dusk, and the visibility is greatly reduced, as if the night is coming. The witch's skin is so white, as if it has never appeared in the sun, whiter than the sweetest milk, and shines more than the most crystal clear snow. In the face of this sudden and dramatic change, she blinked and was at a loss. At this moment, the sharp and high-pitched scream suddenly sounded from the distant red tower, and the witch suddenly opened his eyes. A beautiful big bird with red feathers appeared in the sky above the red tower. That is the third of the North Witches' Parliament. One of the first seats, the devil of the red adult. Stranger, I solemnly warn you, you are trying to provoke the North Witch Council and the Kingdom of Res, stop your spell. The red feathers of the golden dragonfly shine brightly around the big bird, as if to dispel the boundless cold wind. However, this light and fire is suppressed by some powerful force, and only the red tower can be covered in it. Even the white tower and the blue tower and the winter snow palace are still covered by the cold wind. As if I heard the witch's response, the wind in the sky slowed down a bit, and it was about to turn into a dark night to rebuild the light again. However, the young witch suddenly opened her mouth, and there was a horrible sight in her vision. Amazing giant bird. It is a cyan giant bird that is hovering over the winter snow palace. It has a horrible hundreds of feet of cyan wings. It is like a cloud of heaven. Its entire body is like a roaring cyan hurricane. The wild wind elemental energy is completely attributed to the control of the cyan giant bird. At this moment, the red, white and blue high towers are lit at the same time. The highest level of alert and protection of the North Witches' Parliament is instantly opened against this mysterious and powerful outsider. This cyan giant bird is naturally the Qingfen true spirit of Ziwei incarnation. Among all the magical schools, Sylvia was the most in-depth exploration on the path of the elemental school. After deep communication with Daichila about the gap between the legendary caster and the legendary magician in her paper, it is the legendary magician or the mystery of the field that has unveiled the mystery of Ziwei. The invisible 11 Pengs Ziwei transformed all the magical powers in the heart of the lake into the elements of the wind. After the last use of the blazing white yang, the new heart lake has already re-emerged, and after the feedback from the master of the element, it is vast in the total amount like Wang Yang, far beyond the time of Pai Li. This time, incarnation of Kunpeng, Ziwei not only impeached its own magic, but also controlled the elements that permeated the heavens and the earth with the zero, and completed the transformation, and the anti-customer was the first time, and the North Witches' Parliament was competing for the most magic control in the core area. The three heads of the North Witches belong to three different inheritances. The first name of each generation inherits the same name, that is, red, white and blue. This generation of red is the youngest of the three, but she is still a legendary witch who has entered the legendary field and can use the 9-ring spell. The red body is wearing a fiery witch's robe. Her character is as hot as the inheritance she controls. She clearly senses that the magical array underground of the three towers of the blue and white is gradually losing control. This has never happened for thousands of years. One thing. For Ziwei, who is familiar with almost all magic schools, the magical array of Allendale's underground contains horrible energy. However, the spell model and mathematical logic are too simple and ancient, and he is now able to shake this. The power of the magic array, so do not hesitate to infiltrate into it, using the ubiquitous loopholes to start the process of anti-customer-based red knows that the North Witch Council reached a critical moment. This horrible cyan giant bird apparently it is the embodiment of a powerful magician. If he is completely in control of the magical array of Allendale Underground, then the North Witch Council loses its home advantage and falls into a greater crisis. At this time, the two white and blue seats are not there, and the red can only stand up to prevent the situation from continuing to deteriorate. The young witch on the spire of the white tower saw the red tower spire on the opposite side shining brightly to the extreme red light. Like a rising sun, the red-feathered golden eagle gave a shy sigh and then aligned. The horrible cyan giant bird above the sky rushed over. Red stood at the top of the red tower, the element pool began to boil, and the huge magic gradually illuminated the energy runes of the red tower peak. When the entire energy matrix was fully activated, the red would gain endless magic and greatly enhanced spellcasting ability to fight against the mysterious enemy of this invasion. Elements are the origin of magic, and I understand the essence of elements more than you should be deeply aware of this. The cyan giant bird of Ziwei's incarnation fluttered wings on the sky, and the cold wind whistled when the extreme screams swooped down, the temperature in the air suddenly dropped, and the darkness once again dominated the earth. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 465. This dark storm only gathered red, white, blue, and high towers and winter snow palaces. Even if it was unaffected by the streets, it was still sunny day. This was sharply perceived by the red, but powerful magic the harder it is to manipulate, but this unknown enemy is far more perfect than she imagined. The owner of the winter snow white house, the contemporary owner of the Romanov family, the king of Rishua, Ivan, stood on the terrace of the winter snow white house and looked up at the uninvited guest. His strong hands clasped the marble railings and the wind blew him. The whole body is hunting and hunting, it is as powerful as a dragon, but it is a creature that has never appeared before. Why do you visit my kingdom for what? In the wild hurricane, Red is leading a powerful 9-ring spell, which is the most effective spell that she can do in a short period of time to restrain the enemy. At this moment, Ziwei shows the most complete form of combat after he was promoted to the 7-story magic master. He used the elements and avatars to manipulate the elements and magic between the heavens and the earth, simulating the creation of the sovereign stock that was stolen when the sacred capital was created. Ziwei can easily display all the elements of the 8-ring and the following spells, and more close to the field of legendary spells. Ziwei in this form is also almost equivalent to a legendary caster in a certain sense, which is why he dares to challenge the entire Northern Witches' Parliament by one person. Accurately speaking, the career system of Arcane is still in its infancy. Although there is theoretical guidance, although there is a soul spirit heart lake, the development and strengthening of the 4 major areas of the body, even the Arcanist, the Imaginator and founder Sylvia also had to admit that the current Arcane division is not a career, and the system of the 7-star Arcane division corresponding to the Great Magician and the 9-star Arcane Master corresponding to the Legendary Caster is still in the blank. Although Ziwei himself has begun to make great strides toward the legendary field, he himself is taking the path of the Magician, leading to the future of the Legendary Magician. His promotion path requires constant learning and creation, and also each kind of sentiment. With the more perfect reinforcement of the soul, spirit, heart lake, and body, Ziwei has to admit that such a self has got rid of the humble and powerless life, and the soul has sublimated to this level, which can be said in terms of computing power. No less inferior to the supercomputers of the past, the insight into various subtle changes is even more amazing. Many mortal people need to repeat the key experiments that can be completed innumerable times. Ziwei always finds the best one with intuition. Road. Therefore, the origin of the world is different. The promotion speed of the magician is not necessarily weaker than that of the arcanist. The professional system of the arcanist has not yet been formed. It needs more exploration before it can be completed. At this moment, 11 Peng, the incarnation of Ziwei, opened the talent of the real magic eye. This talent has become more and more powerful with his own promotion. The vision has passed through the defensive array of fog and red tower surface, and directly understands that it happened in red. The magic of the body is surging. This is a fire attribute elemental spell. It is so familiar and intimate for Ziwei. For Ziwei, who has an insight into the mystery of the ether, it can be said that the elemental spells of the entire Orient world have no secrets for him. I appreciate your insistence, but you are using the wrong direction. The cyan giant bird in the sky opened again, and a pale golden glow flashed across her eyes. The red color changed, she found her body. The speed of time around has slowed down dramatically. Time stops. Red naturally knows the name of the most powerful magic even in legendary spells, but she doesn't have a good way to manipulate this time spell. But even if it's time to stop the spell, it won't last long for a legendary caster. Now, you and the entire Red Tower's defense mechanism are integrated, and you don't need to worry about your safety. Let me teach you how to cast this spell, Ziwei continued to shout. He is not playing the time to stop this 9-ring legendary spell, but the time from the Star Spider to delay the ability. In the next moment, the souls of Ziwei and Zero are intertwined. It is a horrible spiritual impact that strikes the red of the Red Tower. This is the legendary secret of the highest level of the spiritual school. Previously, only the white raven-covered Day Schiller was able to display the 9 rings. Spiritual secrets, spiritual control. Different from the spirit of manipulating mortals, this is a very violent mystery that can completely suppress a powerful professional in a short time. The combination of 11 Wei and Zero's soul can simulate the casting of this 9-ring legendary spell, Horror. The spirit of the pressure easily crossed the protection tower of the Red Tower, and hit the red that was affected by the delay. Red felt a horrible spiritual pressure, as if the entire sky had begun to collapse, the earth was shattering, spinning around, and she lost all the magic, just as a normal woman. 9 rings spiritual secrets, spiritual control easily broke the protection of the red spirit. In this short time, Ziwei took control of everything in the third seat of the North Witches' Parliament. Red did not fall into a coma or lost consciousness. She is struggling to counter this powerful external shock, trying to regain control of her body as soon as possible. However, the next moment she was surprised to find that his body not only did not stop casting, but began to lead a more dazzling and powerful mysterious spell. Over the Red Heart Lake, an inscription that she has never seen is rapidly arranging and combining, eventually forming a complete spell model, and the strange enemy is manipulating himself to cast a legendary spell. It seems to really verify his phrase, "Let me teach you how to cast this spell." With the power of the legendary spellcaster, even if you only see one side, you can clearly record the spell model and the inscription structure that makes up it. Equivalent to the Cyan Giant Bird taught the legendary spell of the Red Elemental School in this overbearing way. The red mood suddenly became inexplicably complicated. What is the matter? A Cyan Giant Bird that suddenly broke into the Northern Territory Witch Council and the core of the Renaissance Kingdom, thought it was a terrorist enemy that might shake the foundation of the Parliament and the Kingdom, but was pointing at its own spells. However, apart from the red, no one noticed the invisible and innocent spiritual shock. Many witches, through the window of the Master's Tower, looked nervously and looked forward to the counter-attack of one of the 3 first-in-one red adults. Strong technology is brewing, and the gathering of the Red Towers has begun to increase. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 466. 144 inscriptions of the First Order elements, 48 inscriptions of the Middle Order elements, and the inscriptions of 16 High Order elements. The arrangement and combination can have almost infinite changes, even if it is based on the calculation and derivation ability of Ziwei and Zero. It is also impossible to exhaust all the changes to combine elemental spells. However, Ziwei does not need to use such a mechanical and clumsy method to deduct the spell. He is the inscription of the element, the great creator of the elemental school that has become more systematic. Mastering the mystery of the ether, it is easy to complete the mutual transformation between the 4 basic elements at the time of casting, which makes the elemental spells of Ziwei's display more unpredictable and powerful. 11 Wei used the spirit to control the time of manipulating the red. The spells he applied were exactly one of his recent performances, which can be similarly classified into the legendary spell of the 9 rings, Phoenix Impact. The spirit of Ziwei is the Phoenix, so the ultimate spell of all fire elements is almost related to the avatar of the Phoenix. The Phoenix Impact is the product of this concept. When the spell model over the Red Heart Lake was completely illuminated by the magic power, the horrible magical fluctuations quickly emanate from her body. The air seemed to boil, and the red sky was burned into a dazzling red. The red illusion that rivals the cyan giant bird is gradually becoming more real. The red devil, the red-winged golden owl, made a cheerful roar, and its instinct found that the master's magic is more active, as if he had obtained the essence of sublimation. This spell is unprecedentedly powerful. The red illusion above the sky has finally become a reality. The hurricane set by the cyan giant bird has finally been washed away. The sun above the sky has draped the dazzling golden beam of light. Half of the sky seems to have turned into a sea of fire, a purely hot. The flames of life stretched out her golden and red wings, and they made a bright and crisp tweet. This screaming sounded like everyone's heart. All the witches in the 3 towers, as well as the kings, guards, and maids in the winter palace, looked up at the sky and pinned all hope for the great first. Red adults can defeat the enemies. The whole body of the red is shaking slightly. Although the body is still in the control of the enemy, the red still fully experiences the casting process of the whole spell. What a perfect spell! Compared to the legendary spells that you can use, the pure energy builds into the minimum requirements of the 9 rings spells. It is like a child waving a sledgehammer, swaying and swaying to control the feeling of trepidation. This spell is completely protected. This perfect flame elf and red flamingo, as instinctively cast this powerful legendary spell. The next moment, the flame phoenix on the sky waved wings and rushed toward the cyan giant bird, as if the fire knight who launched the charge, brought a radiant flame trail above the sky, as if in the sky. A fiery ribbon. Everyone rounded their eyes and looked at this miraculous scene, even if it was a sin that could not be forgiven. Red and green, fire and wind, the power of 2 completely different elements collided together. The sky is like a big dying house. It has become a colorful color, intertwined with beautiful and rare scenery. However, the violent conflicts that people expected did not happen, and the wings of the flame phoenix and the cyan giant bird were intertwined and surrounded by the clouds. I am the messenger of the arcane, bringing you new magic and power. From now on, the glory of the arcane will cover you. The era of great change is coming. The sound of Zai Wei Qinglang sounds through the sky and the earth. Dozens of copies. The inaugural issue of Arcane was surrounded by the blue wind and sprinkled from the clouds. The wind gradually subsided, and Zai Wei was planning to leave. However, at this time, the white towers of the 3 towers shone with dazzling brilliance, and an old woman who was covered in a white fluffy cloak appeared. Here, her dry hand clasped a cold and icy ice crystal wand, and her eyes sparkled with dazzling magical light. Since it is here, please leave it. The longest and most powerful white-handed staff in the 3 seats violently struck the earth, enough to penetrate the icy chill of the bone marrow. Going to the ice road above the sky, the cyan giant birds above the sky swept away. In this regard, Zai Wei is not shocked. Elemental magic in the mainstream magical field of Orient has long been weak for many years, but did not expect the witches of the North Witch Council actually rely mainly on elemental magic to fight. But if you think about it, you can understand that the witches also have their own magic theory and inheritance, although they are constantly absorbing the latest magic knowledge from the magic center of the Orient continent. But in order to maintain the centuries in Rui the sacred lofty status and de facto rights of the kingdom of Shakespeare, they strongly reject any man's contact with magic, and they are shackled and sacred, and some ancient knowledge and magic that should have been thrown into the as a sacred and inviolable inheritance. Witches are born to be able to perceive the variability of magic awakening spelling ability. They are also the source of the inheritance of the earliest warlock family in human beings. Therefore, the elemental school, the closest element to the magical power, has become the best magical weapon for the North Witches. However, Zai Wei, who has an insight into the mystery of the ether, has far exceeded the witches in the elemental school. Although the white leader has already achieved legendary spellcasters for hundreds of years, her spells are hard to cause too much for Zai Wei. Trouble. In addition, Ziwei has a bigger discovery, that is, next to the white head, the edge of the white tower still stands a young witch. She should have been kneeling in front of the window to watch the battle between herself and the red. She lived in the attic of the white tower. At this moment, she was suddenly exposed to the outdoors. She was not afraid at all, but she was curious and looked closely. Cyan giant bird above the sky. Ziwei's perception of the elements has been keen to the extreme, so he discovered the special features of the little witch in front of him. Although she still has human form, it is almost the embodiment of ice and snow in the world. This is pure. When you reach the ultimate source of strength, you can freeze all the ice around you. This purely ultimate source, Ziwei has only seen in two people, that is, the incarnation of the first note of the Orient world, the master of music Sophie, and the first in the world of Orient light, the Lord of the Morning, Elysia. However, the little witch in front of her is still so tender and fragile. Although her ice and snow origin is pure to the extreme, it is far weaker than the two demigods. Ziwei can be sure that this little witch is a potential half god, but not half god, is enough to stand on the top of the world. For Ziwei, this is the best gift that God has given him. A sacred existence with a demigod and even a god's origin but no resistance at all is the most helpful for him to explore the mysteries of demigods and gods. The perfect assistant, its importance is even less than the ether ball. Ziwei, who had already planned to leave, suddenly turned around. He waved the wing of the sky and swooped down from the height of the sun. The huge shadow shrouded the three towers of the North Witch Council and the Winter Snow Palace, causing countless people's screams. Scream. The legendary spell of the first white singer, the road to silence and freezing, failed to hinder this horrible giant bird that fell from the sky. It is harder than steel, and the icy road that is colder than the cold ice is almost whistling. Under the impact of the blue hurricane, the moment collapsed, and the vast magic that was condensed was instantly shattered and dissipated. The defensive law of the White Tower has risen abruptly. The white hand holding the extremely cold ice stick has already appeared in white because of excessive exertion. This is a provocation and declaration of war against the entire North Wall Witch Council, so arrogant and arrogant. Defend the enemy, you must be sanctioned. However, the blue wind was so swift. Before she finished the second spell, Ziwei had already landed at the top of the White Tower. The right-handed claw of the clear wind directly grabbed the little witch on the edge of the White Tower, and then walked away. From the beginning, almost speeding away at the speed of light, leaving only a blue stream of light in the sky. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 467. Seeing the envy of the enemy, the face of the whitehead is like a dead body. Oh, no, my daughter Scarlet, she was taken away by the big bird. In the Snow and Winter Palace, the queen burst into tears. King Ivan was not as sad as his queen. He just watched the cyan giant bird disappear into the sky, and he sighed with a complex mood. Ivan, our daughter was taken away by the monster. Why are you so indifferent? The grief-stricken queen began to yell at her husband. That's not a monster, but a powerful legendary caster, the ruler of the kingdom of Res, the owner of the Winter Snow White House responded calmly. The three heads of the North Witches' Parliament are legendary casters, but this mystery the master can beat the two first seats, he must be stronger. Look around, the earth-shattering battle, except for a hurricane that brought the flowers and fallen leaves, what loss? There is no one who bleeds. Ivan's words finally calmed his queen, perhaps as he said, it is a messenger who spreads arcane. Our daughter Scarlet has awakened her abilities since she was 3 years old. She can freeze everything she can touch, bread, water, table, bed, and even the whole palace. Even the North Witch Council can't help Scarlet alleviate this. She can only be detained on the magical array of the White Tower, using the energy of the elemental pool to fight this ability. From the age of 3 Scarlet became a prisoner. She could only stand at the top of the White Tower. Through the small window in the attic and we looked at it, we had already lost this daughter. But now, maybe one day, with the help of this mysterious and powerful magician, our daughter can restore normal people and even master this horrible power. The queen finally recovered her calmness. She combed her long hair and looked at the direction in which the blue giant bird disappeared. It didn't make any sound for a long time. At the moment, the headquarters of the entire North Witches' Parliament is filled with a chilling atmosphere. In addition to the inaccessible Qing Shao, the white and red two-seat and the 12 magic master level witches gather in the White Tower. The beginning of the arcane, White first opened one of them with a dry hand, and the top 10 of the Olympics in the first issue of the arcane has dropped 10 books, and now all have been collected. Seeing the first preface, the Whitehead's body trembled fiercely, because the name of the landing was too familiar. One of the greatest magicians of the whole of Orient, the 5-law change master Victor Hugo. The White House originally suppressed the resentment to the ultimate heart, but suddenly relaxed at this moment. She turned to the second preface. The author of the signature is still as good as the ear, the founder of the mechanical school, the last legendary magician in the past 100 years, the 7th. The law constructs the Emperor Daedalus. The two legendary magicians who have almost no communication at the same time preface the title of this arcane. What a privilege! At this moment, all the anger in the white heart seems to have vanished with these two great names, and she turned to the opening message. It's been 2,600 years since the first human magician, Merlin, learned magic from the elves. From the original elemental school, magic has gradually developed protection, space, death, summoning, change, and construction. The mainstream school of dress, mind, etc., the building of magic has been established. It seems that only the final decoration work is missing. However, the magician's inheritance system still has its essential flaws. The cost of acquiring knowledge is so expensive, the inheritance of knowledge is inefficient, and even faults often occur. In the end, I will propose a new concept, that is, arcane. What is arcane? Arcane is to explore the world, try to sum up the law from the phenomenon, and then use these laws to deduct other phenomena. When magic becomes an open, inherited, regular, applicable discipline, it can be called for arcane. The arcanist is the person who inherits the arcane spirit of the arcane concept, explores the unknown mysteries of all fields, and continues to develop magic and advance to a more brilliant future. The Arcane Journal was born based on this concept. This journal will serialize all new discoveries and new explorations in the field of magic, providing a channel for all magicians to learn new knowledge. Xavi Frost, in the Holy Calendar, June 25, 1787. What a forward-looking vision, how broad-minded. The Whitehead is almost unbelievable, and someone will be willing to disclose such valuable knowledge to the world without any price. To know that for the magician, the phrase knowledge is power is an unchanging truth. In the following table, the titles, authors, and corresponding page numbers of the 21 papers appeared. The first white spot. First notice the origin of the species. The origin of the species, the nature of change. School by Victor Hugo. The world outside the door, the distance between the legendary spellcaster and the legendary magician. The legendary magicians of the two titles did not hide at all. In their respective papers, some of the legendary spellcasters of this level of white is also the knowledge and mystery of the treasures that they dream of. Priceless treasure. The white hand holding the first issue of Arcane is shaking. No magician can touch it without touching it. Holding this book seems to hold the truth and hope. White first seat. For the young redhead, the white first seat is the highest commander of the 3 first seat, and she was a mentor. For such a short time, the huge change in the Whitehead, she finally could not help but expressed. Curious and doubtful. Arcane is very valuable. The first white simmered a bit, and the conclusion was made, Everyone sitting can take an arcane and go back to study and study. After 3 days, we will open again. Next meeting. The words of the first white seat are the highest order. The people picked up an arcane and dispersed them, leaving only the red head. Do you mean that the cyan giant bird used the mystery to control you and then cast an unprecedented legendary spell? The face of the white head finally showed a smile. I know who this smashing guy is. Zyway Frost, the magician holding the stars, published a total of 7 papers in different fields in the inaugural issue of Arcane. Except for the legendary magicians, he can only be so easy. Take Princess Scarlet from my hands. The Princess Scarlet will not be in danger, Redhead said with some concern. Xavi Frost has built a magical school in the western Golden Sea. His biggest feature is good man. It is also estimated that Scarlet's special ability is to teach this poor child. The first white side, this is good. After 9 years have passed, we still have no way to Scarlet's abilities. Give this hot trouble to Sylvester Frost. The 2 first adults, the king of the Winter Snow Palace, want to summon, a waitress came to report. Red, go, tell the Majesty the king and the queen, and Princess Scarlet will not be in danger. Bring this Pi daily with an introduction to Sylvester Frost. The first White House handed a newspaper with a colorful cover to the red head. It was the 4th period after the revision of the Pi daily. The Zyway incarnation of the elf wizard held the stars, the special effects and the full force. Period. In the Winter Palace, King Ivan and the Queen solemnly received the red head, and after receiving the same judgment from the North Wall Witch Council, even the king, who had been confident before, was relieved. The Queen has picked up the colorful Palais daily and screamed loudly after turning to the 2nd edition. The horrible cyan bird just turned out to be such a young and handsome Japanese elf. This Zyway master likes to open a magic school. It should be based on our daughter's excellent magical qualifications. I want to teach her to point her. His Majesty patted the Queen's back. In this way, we are not afraid of the daughter's contact. It's a good thing to be thankful for, at least Scarlet is not in the hands of any evil magician. Little girl, are you not afraid? Zyway, who is still in the form of Kunpeng, is swimming in the clouds. He is flying at a slower speed than Blue Dragon Lannister. He has left the North Sea and flew away from Ruisha in a short time. The borders of the kingdom, chasing the sunset, flew to Copenhagen in the west. The little witch wearing a luxurious robe is staying in the giant claws built by the breeze. The top of the head is the golden sky reflected by the setting sun. It is surrounded by white, gray, and black clouds. It is endless. Wang Yang, not only did she not cry, but she did not even have a little fear. Instead, she looked at the completely different scenery with a pleasant smile and felt the new world of freedom. Why are you afraid? The little witch responded, I have a name, don't call me a little girl, my name is Scarlet. Big Bird brother, what is your name? I have a name, don't call me a big bird brother, my name is Zyway. Zyway learned the tone of the little witch Scarlet. Ha ha ha, Scarlet gave a silver bell-like laughter. This is the first time she has experienced the feeling of freedom since she was born. This kind of light dance is so free and happy. Well, genius is always different, and 11 Wei has no choice but to think of it. When 11 Wei chased the entire 3 magics of the setting sun, he finally came to the peninsula of the Danish self-governing left, the last place in the trip before dark. Zyway lowered the cloud and changed into the appearance of the Japanese elf. Once again, he wore the luxurious and elegant to the ultimate magical gown with shining stars. This form is obviously not discriminating because he is too young. Xavier brother, you are really not a bird, but an elf, Scarlet said. Zyway is too lazy to correct the misunderstanding of the little witch. He carefully looked at the little witch, long white hair, white and soft to the ultimate delicate skin, slender black liame and a pair of black jewel-like purity and innocence. The eyes are very cute. Learning in the North Witch Council for so long, are you a few levels of witches now? Zyway whistled, A sparkling, luxurious carriage with the violet logo was summoned, 8 crystal-like horses, the slender wings are coming from the distant sky. I am stupid, I can't learn anything. Now even the first level which is not, Scarlet whispered and whispered. Ziwei took her cold little hand and took her to the luxurious and comfortable carriage of the magical Pegasus. The carriage rushed up and headed for Copenhagen city in the distance. Scarlet felt her hand fall into a warm and powerful palm, as if sitting by the fireplace, warm and warm. Ziwei had to maintain physical contact with Scarlet, otherwise her power from the depths of the soul would quickly freeze all the objects it touched. Ice and snow energy belongs to the variation energy of water elements in the 4 basic elements. Like lightning energy, it belongs to a very characteristic appearance, but it still belongs to the category of elemental school. Ziwei can proudly say that looking at the entire continent of Orient, at this time, only he has mastered the mystery of the ether. He can use the transformation between the elements to suppress the power of ice and snow that Scarlet is no longer spreading all the time, resisting this. A horrible power. Ziwei and Zero have already begun to perceive Scarlet's perception and research. She is simply the most perfect treasure, and has an unparalleled role in the deeper mystery of the elements of Ziwei. Scarlet curiously looked around in the carriage, and the unique charm of the carriage attracted her attention for a long time. After a long time, Scarlet made a cry of surprise. This carriage was not frozen by her. The little witch remembered that Ziwei took her all the way for so long and was not frozen. This seems to mean that she will hope to live like a normal person. Scarlet's pure and innocent eyes looked straight at Ziwei but didn't know what to say. Scarlet, Ziwei clasped the little witch's cold hand and asked softly. Mr. Ziwei? What happened? Scarlet blinked. From today, you will follow me to learn magic. How? Ziwei said in the most gentle tone. Okay, okay. You are more powerful than the White Grandmother and the Red Ant, and you are definitely a better mentor, Scarlet said, and she said that the child is unrealistic. Very good, then you are my 6th apostle. Ziwei showed a happy smile, and love and justice are the most powerful weapons. The 6th apostle? Why? Scarlet asked, looking up at her head. My first apostle is Meryl. Ziwei clung to Scarlet's hand and began to tell her a story, as well as the legend and glory of the violet. The carriage is flying fast in the dark, and the distant city of Copenhagen has already seen the bottom of the eye. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Du. Chapter 468. Remember for 1 second, to provide you with wonderful novel reading. There are 2 major trading cities in the mainland, the commercial capital, one of which is Venice on the Golden Sea. The merchants of Venice almost monopolize the business of all the countries along the Golden Sea. It is almost a paradise for businessmen. Almost everything can be bought with money, including life, freedom, love, dignity. The second commercial capital is Copenhagen city on the North Sea. It was only a small fishing village hundreds of years ago. However, with the rise of the Rothschild family, Copenhagen city became the trading center of the North Sea, no matter the most. The snow-covered kingdom of Riesel in the east is also the country of the mountains of the dwarves in the north half, the Rhine Union of the Knights in the south, the French kingdom in the west, and the mysterious island of the sea, the island of the sea, between these countries. The maritime trade is almost through Copenhagen. The city on this peninsula is so prosperous and lively. People from all kinds of dialects who live in various dialects live and trade here. There are also several other kinds of intelligent life races. It is the blacksmith's shop and bar for the dwarves. However, there is only one of the most spectacular buildings in Copenhagen, the Fortune Chamber of Commerce headquarters in the heart of the city and the Golden Fort of the Rothschild family. This is a splendid castle. The main palace is nearly 20 meters high. The surface of the whole building is covered with gold paint processed with special materials. It looks like a golden light, just like a gold building. Into the castle. When Ziwei and Scarlet flew into the sky above Copenhagen in a luxury flying carriage, they saw the glittering local architecture in the night of the city center. Ziwei gave the card to the space transmission ring with a positioning mark. Now this sign is located in Copenhagen city. It seems that Kami has completed the arcane promotion work at the United Magic School in Venice. Ziwei found Scarlet with Scarlet. He lived in a low-key and comfortable pub. There was a bard in the pub's hall with a guitar accompaniment to sing a melodious love song. President Ziwei, please sit down, the wine here is very fragrant. Kameng in the corner raised his glass and made an invitation to Ziwei. West Villa and Scarlet came over. He had attached a simple illusion around him, and people nearby could ignore the situation around 5 meters. What is this girl? Asked Jiao curiously. From the North Witch Council, a little witch, her name is Scarlet, is already my 6th apostle, Ziwei said while blocking Scarlet's attempt to pick up the glass on the table. The magician can't be an alcoholic. I'll give you something to drink, the violet strawberry juice carefully prepared by Professor Zero. Ziwei's hand has a bottle of purple-red juice. Although the concentration of this juice is much lower than that of the violet ophal, it also reduces the need for use. For a magic apprentice, a drink can at least grow 1 or 2. Standard magic. Scarlet drank with juice and apparently the taste of the juice made her very satisfied. I met 2 magic masters at the United Magic School. They highly praised the inaugural issue of Arcane. They bought 50 copies at the price of 3,000 gold and ordered the follow-up Arcane at the same price. Journal Kamiao spread his hands and made a helpless action, although I know that they will sell at least 3 times when they change hands, but my time is tight, and I can only trade at this price. Very good, 1,000 Arcane inaugural issue. I am afraid that only these 50 books are making money. Ziwei gently shook his head. The promotion of Arcane is very important, we must have a few journals accurate delivery to those who need them the most, so a simple sale is not the best option. In Copenhagen, this is not a problem at all. If I didn't guess wrong, the messenger sent by my sister is already on the road. Kami revealed a mysterious smile. Maybe we arrived before we finished this wine. The wonderful predictions were quickly realized. Ziwei had just drank 2 wines, and a middle-aged man in a big red uniform walked into the pub. Harvard butler at the Golden Fort. Is there a distinguished guest here today? There was a whisper in the lobby of the hotel. Obviously, the De Hongbao is very famous in Copenhagen. Ziwei timely relieved the illusion of his body. The middle-aged man saw the card in the corner. He immediately stepped forward. Master K, welcome you back to your hometown. The lady has prepared a welcome dinner at home. Hope you and your friends can be together. Harav's housekeeper showed a signature and friendly smile. Well, no problem, I haven't seen Margaret for a long time. K gave up the glass in his hand and stood up and responded. Outside the door, the luxury carriages of the Rothschild family were docked. 4 horses and white horses were reins, and Ziwei and his party were directly sent to the Golden Fort. Here, Ziwei saw the luxury of the real rich. The Golden Fort is full of artworks from almost all of the mainland and even a few continents. Everything is linked to history and has its own story and inheritance. Even the waiters and maids are polite and clothed, and they don't see a vulgarity that belongs to the nouveau riche. The Rothschild family, who is in control of the giant chamber of the Fortune Chamber of Commerce, has become a real nobility. Since being the head of the Chamber of Commerce of the Violet, he has been convinced by 11 Wei with his superb ability. He has done a good job in all the arrangements of Ziwei, and he has done too much to do, and almost no need to do any remedy. However, such a good business elite card was lost to a woman in the family heir competition, and this Margaret has overwhelmingly surpassed all other competitors and eventually won the throne of the family patriarch. Soon, Ziwei saw the true face of Miss Margaret in the same magnificent banquet hall. She wore a burgundy evening gown, and the green hair plait formed a high hair on the top of her head. The bridge of the nose is towering, with eyes, and the appearance can only be regarded as ordinary people. Seeing this moment of Miss Margaret, Zai Wei had to send out a feeling, really a rich man. The necklace on the neck of Miss Margaret, the earrings on the left and right earlobes, the 4 rings on the left and right hands, and the shoes on the feet are all magical objects, and they are epic magical objects. Even if there is a Zai Wei in a magical school, there are no more epic level magical objects in the hands of this gold castle. I am afraid that in addition to those legendary magicians, there are some masters who are good at making magical objects. No one can be richer than Miss Margaret. You are the magician holding the stars, the president of the Violet Academy, Zai Wei. The distinguished guest, I am very happy to meet you. Margaret stepped forward, her waist was straight. Very high, the line of sight is almost flush with the west. It seems that I already have a very good title, Zai Wei responded politely. It's nice to meet you, Miss Margaret. This is, Margaret saw Scarlet in the hands of 11 Wei, his face showing a thoughtful expression. One of my new students, called Scarlet, said 11 Wei. Scarlet. Margaret looked carefully at the pattern and style of the robes of the little witch. I remember, Scarlet, the little princess of the kingdom of Res, is said to have a very powerful magical talent. At the age of 3, I was sent to the North Witch Council to learn magic. Scarlet looked at her woman with her big eyes vigilantly. Who are you? I have never seen you. Few people know me. For the members of the Rothschild family, every piece of intelligence means a valuable asset, not to mention the message of a princess, even though we are not in the shadows, but money is omnipotent. Margaret replied with a smile, of course, for the strongest of the entire world of the Orient world, such as President Zai Wei, there will never be money troubles. Thank you for your compliment, madam, Westway responded politely. Call me Margaret, I am not married yet, although I have passed the best marriage age. Margaret finally turned the topic to the topic. Welcome to Copenhagen. I don't know what can help to yours, President Zai Wei. The magical atmosphere in Copenhagen is very strong, and I have some new ideas to promote, and I brought some books. Zai Wei said frankly, I like traveling very much, seeing different scenery, staying in one place all day it makes me anxious, and that's another reason why I am here. Copenhagen's most prestigious school of magic is the University of Copenhagen, which has existed for more than 1,200 years and is the first university in the world of Orient. Margaret said, the 4th method you taught the theory of summoning school at the University of Copenhagen, which soon became the magical sanctuary of the northern part of the Orient continent. It was only over 100 years ago that it was overtaken by Pi Li. I am very interested in the magical concept of Mr. 11 Wei. I want to come here. The promotion will be successful. Margaret, are you interested in magic? Sci-fi asked curiously. The woman in front of him was just a 3-ring magician, and there was no other professional system power in the multi-power system of the Orient world exists. In the world, it is hard to imagine that a woman with such a weak personal strength can become the owner of the Golden Fort and the owner of the Fortune Chamber of Commerce. Yes, the more you touch the extraordinary power, the more you know that it is a stronger force than money. Margaret glanced at. But our Rothschild family seems to have been cursed, whether it is a magician, a knight, or a warrior, which road is more difficult than ordinary people? Zai Wei suppressed his curiosity and did not go deep into exploring the mystery of the Rothschild family. He was already busy enough, and this kind of quest was not triggered. I can introduce you to the master of Veskaya. She is an 8-ring magic master and a very good magical creature making artist. She teaches at the University of Copenhagen and is one of the school managers. She has a strong voice. She has a very good personal relationship with the Rothschild family, and most of my magical things are made by her. Margaret continued the topic. Thank you for your help, Margaret. Zai Wei took out a color gem and gave it to Margaret. Glamour gem, a small gift, I hope you like it. Just rub it 3 times with your hand activation. Margaret took it curiously and activated it according to the instructions of Ziwei. A colorful light instantly enveloped her whole person. Margaret's eyes narrowed and she found that her magical defenses were not activated, and she let go of her heart. Hey, the card that had never been opened was amazed. Margaret in front of his eyes suddenly filled with charm, and even the freckles on his face were so cute that people couldn't help but want to approach and be convinced. Even Scarlet, who has never had a good face on Margaret, has changed her attitude. The tall ant in front of her seems to be suddenly not so odious. Margaret also noticed the changes that have taken place in her body. Even if the colorful light disappears, this effect does not seem to have failed. You can use it 3 times a day. Every time you continue a magic, you can increase the feelings of people around you. Ziwei introduced the effect of this gem. You are a businessman, this gem should be right for you. The glamour gem is realized by Ziwei with the in-depth study and exploration of emotional magic. Although it can't make an ugly monster become a fascinating person, it can greatly enhance the charm of a person. Charm gemstones can be used not only for the pursuit of love, but also for businessmen and leaders. Although this gem can only be regarded as a superb level of magical things, the actual value is very powerful, especially for Margaret. Perfect fit. Thank you for your present, I like it very much. Margaret finally showed her radiance to the ultimate smile. Under the beautiful gemstones, this woman with only ordinary people's appearance finally became very exciting. Mr. Shabi, the Rothschild family likes to build good personal friendships with strong professionals, especially the long-lived casters. Margaret continued, there was a legendary caster and Rothschild. The German family has maintained a friendship for 300 years, starting with a small magic apprentice. The Rothschild family is involved in almost every growth and progress, and he also gave Rothschild. The family has helped many times for the powerful and excellent magician of Ziwei. Master, our Rothschild family will be very welcome. As our friend, as long as you have any needs, no matter which aspect, Fortune Chamber of Commerce will try your best to help you. Dispel your troubles. To be continued, mobile users please browse and read, a better reading experience. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 469. This night, Ziwei stayed in the most upscale VIP room in the Golden Fort. The room was huge, and the decor was gorgeous. On both sides of the red carpet, there were 2 rows of maids wearing gauze, each of which was better than the Golden Fort. Hostess Margaret is more beautiful. Ziwei refused the request of these enthusiastic maid services and drove the sorrowful girls out of the room. Originally, Ziwei wanted to give pointers to the little witch Scarlet meditation, but she was obviously very tired. She just fell into a soft and comfortable bed when she entered the room and fell into a deep sleep. For the Gold Castle's hostess, Ziwei still has enough admiration. It is difficult to imagine a woman can endure the pursuit of beauty. After all, this is a magical world. As the owner of the Chamber of Fortune, Margaret has 1,000 ways to make herself more beautiful, but she has controlled this idea. No matter in which world the merchant has traces of existence, even the endless abyss has many helmers who travel through layers of planes, selling soul crystals and all kinds of magical goods. However, to be able to make the business a degree of cross-border trusts of the Chamber of Commerce, Margaret's rights are probably only 1 level worse than the emperors or kings of the 5 great powers of Orient. The influence of Ziwei and Violet at this stage is still somewhat weak. Ziwei holds advanced arcane civilization and is gradually developing a magic industrial system covering all walks of life, while Fortune Chamber of Commerce has the most unobstructed commercial channel throughout the continent. The cooperation between the 2 sides is undoubtedly a mutual benefit, and the influence of each other is the biggest thing. This is why Ziwei has specially arranged for Kyle to come to Copenhagen. Margaret really is as keen as Ziwei imagined. She obviously noticed that Ziwei, which is like a star, is highly praised. She soon expressed her high recognition for the inaugural issue of Arcane. Showing your strength. Early the next morning, Ziwei met with the master of the University of Copenhagen, Master Weiske, under the arrangement of Margaret. It was unexpected to Ziwei that the master was not a human being but a dwarf. The gnome is not a human being with a very short stature, but a very intelligent humanoid race. According to Ziwei, there are not many gnomes, and almost all of them live in the underground dwarf city. Gnomoringer. The builder of the city is a legendary caster in the gnome, the first owner of the original fire, Gnomalin. In his hands, the original fire played a huge role in the construction of Normolinger, turning Gnomalinger into a magnificent underground city. Gnomoringer is located in the underground of the country of the dwarfs. Therefore, the relationship between the dwarves and the dwarfs is very good. If the dwarves are recognized as excellent blacksmiths and forging masters, the gnomes are born excellent technicians and engineers. The Wiskia master is the most ingenious genius in the gnome. She has produced more than 30 epic-level magical things, which is a very scary number. The master of Veskia has been over 150 years old, but she looks like a little girl of 8 or 9 years old. Her body is round and her skin is very smooth and delicate. "It's nice to meet you, Master Weskia." Ziwei bowed down and performed a standard mage ceremony. "Master Ziwei, I already know what you are doing. Copenhagen University welcomes any new magic concept. The style of study here is very open. If your arcane is good enough, you can take root in Copenhagen." The master of Veskia went straight to the theme. "I personally want to be the first reader of Arcane in the city." 11 Wei handed the inaugural issue of Arcane, which had already been prepared, to the gnome magic master in front of him. This book is a very sweet spiritual enjoyment for any magician who pursues. The master of Veskia quickly sank into Arcane. Although she noticed the order of the two legendary magicians, she did not stay here for too long, but her expectation in her heart suddenly rose. Several levels. The Origin of Species, an exploration of the essence of the School of Change by Victor Hugo. The World Outside the Door, the distance between legendary caster and legendary sorcerer by Didura. Electromagnetic Induction, Elemental School New expanding the field by 11 Wayfrost. Address Analysis Witnessing the Change of the Times by Anthony. Recursive Experiments, the Application of Magical Arrays by Lannister Hugo. In addition to the 2 legendary magicians, 2 legendary spellcasters, and 11 magic masters, the 15 authors of the 21 papers can be said to be the most representative of the entire Orient world of magicians today. The magician in the world of Orient is a relatively rare occupation, and to the level of magic masters and even legendary casters, it can be said that everyone is very unique, and the legendary casters have a very recognizable title. Therefore, Veskia saw the horrible value of the original issue of Arcane from this heavy name. What shocked Veskia is that every paper is not a cliché, but a lot of exploration of new fields and new theories of magic. This means that after the magic system has passed a stable period of nearly 100 years, started a new wave of change. In the past, magicians did not often write essays. They mastered it, and others would learn to understand if they did not learn. However, in the first issue of the Magic of Arcane, each paper pays great attention to the experiment and argumentation. The logic is thorough and the thinking is meticulous. It is like a clear stream, which is completely different from the spread of magic knowledge in the past. Although Weska could not confirm the true value of the original issue of Arcane in the first place, even just such a loud name listed in this journal is enough for any magician to admire. Arcane will work with the magicians of the entire Orient world in an open manner, not just the Thousand Towers and the Royal Academy of Magic in France. Ziwei waited for the master of Veskia to look up. This has started the real cooperation and communication. With the inaugural issue of Arcane, the negotiations between Ziwei and Veskia and Copenhagen University went very smoothly. The first issue of the Arcane was delivered to the University of Copenhagen. They will also copy a simple text version for teaching. For the arcane concept proposed by Ziwei in the opening speech of Arcane, there is also the corresponding arcane system. The Master of Veskaya expressed his approval, and on behalf of the University of Copenhagen, he hopes to join the Arcane Review Committee. Participate in the submission, evaluation, distribution, and promotion of the arcane journals. After all the dust settled, Sci-fi was invited to give a speech to all magic apprentices and magicians in the University of Copenhagen auditorium. Here, Sci-fi looks back and looks forward to the future. He tells 1,000 bright magicians in the auditorium a bright and beautiful magic future. His speech was interrupted several times due to the enthusiastic applause of the audience. Sci-fi is here. Through a speech, I have gained countless identities and admirers. 50 copies of the Arcane issue were quickly collected by the top of the University of Copenhagen, but there are also a large number of simple copybooks that began to spread in the university. Although the authors of each paper are magic masters and even legendary magicians, their papers are easy to understand. Even an ordinary person who knows nothing about magic does not affect reading. Of course, this is exactly the requirement of Sci-fi. Although the art published in Arcane will be more professional and esoteric in the future, even if it is a high-level or even magic master. If you have not experienced the influence of the Arcane civilization, I am afraid it is difficult to understand the thesis of Arcane. Arcane will be the pioneer of Arcane civilization, and will be the most authoritative core of the future. With the gradual development of the Arcane civilization, a newspaper of magic journals with different weights, comprehensive, and classification will gradually issued. At that time, I was able to publish an article in the Journal of Arcane, which is probably the dream of all magicians or arcans. When Arcane was thoroughly spread in Copenhagen University, the entire university and even the whole city were shaken. The magic has always been like a mysterious velvet. It is located in the foggy beauty, and the fog looks like the moon in the water. Love and hate. Many magicians are limited by talent and luck, and can only access the simplest and lowest level of magic, just like the porter of the element, mechanically casts spells. They are full of expectations for the future when they learn magic. However, when they really start learning, the difficulties of the unimaginable mountains overwhelm most people. They want to improve but they can't do anything. This is the status quo of most magicians. However, in the Arcane Journal, there are the most outstanding magic masters and even legendary magicians in the world of the Orient world to share their exploration, research, and views. Especially some cards cannot be used for many years before the high-level magician or magic master Guan Yu. Further, magicians are just associated with the direction or topic of the paper on the inaugural issue of Arcane, and find the direction of the advancement from the article, which is just as amazing as the light of the road. When Sci-fi had not left Copenhagen, there was a card that had been in the master's certificate for 35 years. The magician was inspired by Sci-fi's article Electromagnetic Induction, the expansion of the new field of elemental school. Out of his own unique master lightning spell, completed the test of the master's certificate, promoted into a new magic master. This explosive news can be said to instantly stir up the hearts of the entire city of Copenhagen. Numerous magicians have circulated the simple copybooks of the Arcane journals. The big names who have won the inaugural issue of the exquisite limited edition Arcane will be the inaugural issue of Arcane was the most memorable and valuable collection. When Sci-fi entered the city, he was hardly known to anyone. However, when he left, the whole city was insane. Thousands of magicians and magic apprentices huddled on both sides of the road, reluctantly looking at the west. It took only 5 days for the change to be held by several high-level leaders at the University of Copenhagen. Respected Master Sci-fi, we will be on time 24 days after the establishment of the Arcane Review Committee on the island of Violet and the first Arcane Division ceremony. Associate Dean of the School of Magic, University of Copenhagen, summoning the legendary caster of the school Hemer solemn promise. The discerning eye can see that the master of the Civifrost, if the magic master who shines on the comet is the real pioneer of the Arcane and the Arcane Division system, the two titles of the legendary personal support, but however, there is not much intervention in the Arcane and the management of the Arcane's division system. Copenhagen has been brilliant, but it has been falling for too long. This is a big event that can change the pattern of the magic world. Copenhagen must firmly grasp the olive branch handed down by the masters of Sci-fi. For the Westway master, who published 7 very innovative papers in 7 different fields on the inaugural issue of Arcane, Heimer has long regarded this young and excessively magician as an equal and even more respectable person. Treat. The promotion of the Arcane concept requires more magicians to recognize and take the initiative to make changes and integrate into this new era. Sci-fi's face is filled with a gentle smile, thanks to Dean Heimer. I am the support of the Arcane, but also hope that Copenhagen can contribute to the draft, published in the next Arcane journal. I want to. Heimer showed a smile, and has been seized by the Thousand Law Tower and the Royal French Academy of Magic, so the next step must not fall behind. 2 meow 2 by **2 core 2. After going back, I will hold a meeting to learn the style of the original issue of Arcane and find the magicians who are still active in the college or have long been seclusion but have not stopped moving forward. My brother, meow, you guess what I saw from Sci-fi. On the distant high platform, the brothers and sisters of the Rothschild family are witnessing the grand occasion of Copenhagen. A shadow of a legendary magician, Kami curiously replied. No, 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 I firmly believe that Master Sci-fi will become a new legendary magician in the near future, but this is not the one that touches me the most, Margaret said with emotion. I am from. He saw a strong sense of mission, as if he was working hard for the fate of the entire world, which is the most precious quality and wealth of life. The era of chaos is coming soon. In the face of the threat of terror, the Rothschild family is sitting on the wealth of the rich enemy, but there is no power to protect this wealth. However, this Sci-fi master, as long as it does not fall in the short term, will certainly achieve great achievements. In the future, in the history, it can even be compared with the first Faded. You have dug into the big gold mine, my brother. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 470. Although the Tower of the Thousand Laws is located on the Mountain of Abyss, there is a large flat land in the center of this mage city. There are a large number of low-rise buildings for families, workers, and servants attached to the life of the Thousand Law Tower. Live. At the same time, it is also a paradise for young magicians in the Temple of the Thousand Laws. In the rare time of rest, from the short liberation of the Master Tower's busy life, you can enjoy entertainment in this town. The Comet Bar is said to have been a bar built by the Master of the Elves of the Elven Kingdom in accordance with the most standard elf style. It is full of unique exotic style, with a transcendent atmosphere and deeply rooted in the Tower of the Thousand Laws. The magicians are welcome. Of course, the price of any item here is not so cheap, and only the youngest mages who are the best and most acquainted by the instructors can enter and exit the Comet Bar. Therefore, the usual Comet Bar often has only a few scattered customers. However, in this night, there is a full 8 people in the bar lobby. They all look like very young magicians, 5 men and 3 women. At the center of the conversation was a tall man with silver gray hair. He was about 30 years old, wearing a high-necked gold-rimmed robes with a special complex pattern on his cuffs. Diesel Chief, congratulations on your successful defeat of 85 competitors, won this year's Thousand Law New Star Award. This is a very rare honor, the history of 312,000 miles of new stars. The winner, at least also the Master of Magic. A young and beautiful blonde magician sitting opposite him raised his glass in his hand, filled with ice blue moon rose wine, which is a kind of high-end wine that helps the magician to restore his mental strength. Is worth a lot. Yes, Decel's chief representative, our Rune Tower, has won the championship in this imaginary star, and won the championship. This is the glory of our Rune Tower. Sitting on the left-hand side of Diesel, the man quickly followed, Diesel's chief is probably going to complete the promotion of the master's certificate soon. He graduated from the Rune Tower and went to the top of the snow mountain to receive the teachings of the legendary caster. The 7 companions raised their glasses. They were silver grey men and friends of the Rune Tower, Diesel. This time it was to celebrate Dixiel's 3-year-old Millennium Nova. The festival won the laurels and gathered. Diesel is a very calm person on weekdays. If he doesn't need to say a word, he has a shallow smile on his face. After he and his companions have a cup of Chinese and American wine, this is the only time. With a reserved expression, said, "Yes, I have reached the last moment of the challenge of the master's certificate. Anthony's mentor is more aware of the spell design of my contest. I will also leave the Rune Tower and go to the book of Anthony's mentor. The tower is learning the next step. God, Bow Scholar Anthony is the speaker of the Tyrus-Fal Parliament, the second strongest magician in the Tower of the Thousand Laws. Diesel, you really seem to want this time." Soaring, another young girl's eyes sparkled, and she looked at Diesel with a look of respect. "Dieser is really amazing. I am afraid that when we see you next time, you are already a new magic master. In a few years, it is already a legendary caster." Although the touts of a group of friends made Diesel a little fluttering, but he did not forget to forget. He waved his hand and signaled everyone to calm down. "I am not the best young magician of the Thousand Law Tower. The tower just had a young female magician who was promoted to the Magic Master and became the 5th Magic Master of the Architecture School. Ah! Who, the magician does not need too much physical strength and melee, and relies more on wisdom and magic. Therefore, the proportion of women in the profession is very high, but even so, in high level and among the above magicians, the proportion of women is just over 1/5. Therefore, every female magic master, even in the magical holy lands such as the Thousand Law Tower, is also very popular, and every high-ranking magician who is expected to break through the master's certificate has countless people looking forward and watching. Christine Phillips, daughter of Philip Grand Duke, she is only 22 years old, and just promoted to the 6-ring magician a year ago. Diesel spread his hands helplessly. "I know the news. About 10 months ago, Christine left the 1000 French Tower to go to the head of the master on the St. Estanba, but she did not expect that she would complete the challenge of the master's certificate so soon. It is really a sudden rise." Everyone looks at each other. Although the competition of the Thousand Law Tower is very fierce, many magicians will not fall asleep when they don't even use drugs, but few people will choose to take the initiative to leave the Thousand Law Tower, even if they are forced to leave. Because they have a hard time once again set foot in this dreamy city of masters. In the eyes of the magician of the Thousand Law Tower, except for here, the whole world can be said to be a magical desert. Even the Royal Academy of Magical Academy or the University of Copenhagen is just an oasis in the desert. It is a bit too embarrassing for Christine, a person who has taken the initiative to leave the Tower of the Thousand Laws, and can still complete the challenge of the master's certificate in such a short time. Oh, people are the daughter of Philip Grand Duke. Dagong is the highest leader in the Spania region, and the top 5 in the empire. The last girl with a very long chin on her face said disdainfully, "Compared to us, in addition to magic and hard work, they have everything." The magician does not look at the lineage. In fact, most of the casters are warlocks. Although the warlock's spell list is not as wide as the magician's choice, the difficulty of the warlock's spell casting is much lower than that of the magician, and the difficulty of promotion to the key professional level depends more on the blood itself. Personal learning and hard work are secondary. This is also why many high-ranking warlocks are young people, and most of the high-level magicians are the key reasons for the image of the middle-aged and old people. Therefore, most of the aristocratic casters are warlocks. The proportion of people who are really willing to sink into the study of magic is not high. Most of the members of the Thousand Law Tower are civilians. The 8 people on this table have no surnames. In any case, Christine is already a true master of magic. She is in front of us, enough to win our respect. Diesel said a fair evaluation, the challenge of the master's card is not simple to rely on foreign objects or others to achieve, she must understand the power of her own. The little friends were silent. After a long time, the beautiful female magician who spoke first showed a chuckle. Let's change the topic. Diesel's chief is about to leave the Rune Tower and go to the Scroll Tower to accept Anthony. Your guidance, this is a great news to celebrate. So the wine table resumed the excitement and happiness again, and everyone sincerely congratulated Diesel on congratulations. At this moment, suddenly a shining white electric light passed through the door of the Comet Bar, directly rushed to the top of Diesel, the lightning dissipated, and a thick book with a cover on the star was in Diesel. In the hands. This electro-optical light caused the attention of the entire Comet Bar. Diesel sensed a message on the electro-optical light, which explained to everyone, it is a book that my mentor gave me. After other people turned their eyes on it, Diesel whispered, it is a book sent to me by Anthony's mentor, let me read it carefully during this time. All the small partners are full of envious and hateful expressions. Diesel's chief has not yet gone to the book tower. Lord Anthony has already begun to send books. This is not just the relationship between ordinary students and teachers. Perhaps in the near future, Diesel's chief will become a disciple of Bow scholar Anthony. Let's take a look. I really want to see what this book is written. A micro-fat magician with glasses stretched his neck. After a moment of silence, Diesel finally agreed, this book is called Arcane, strange name, and what is the relationship with arcane crystal? Diesel spread the entire book upside down on the table. The cover, the spine, and the starry river on the back are a whole piece. The silver stars are dotted in the dark blue sky, shining, and when you look closely, the Milky Way is flowing, the stars are running, it is like the sky. The star is engraved on the cover of the book. The holographic projection technology belongs to Zaiwei's reinterpretation of the magical principle in the Orient world. It is also a new initiative. Even the high school students of these 1,000-method towers have never seen it. This star map is real. The brightest part of the center is the main material plane where the Orient plane is located. Look, the silver moon above, and this should be the nearest plane from Orient. The country of the beast. The chubby magician came forward with excitement, his fingers pointing on the star map, and almost all the corresponding stars and planes were said. However, with his knowledge, only 1/10 of the stars can be found, but even this part is enough to verify that this star map is the real world. This is really big, the pretty girl said with emotion. In the star map of the cover, the densely shaped dots form the two ever-changing characters of Arcane. Just like the two real-life constellations, a feeling of height is coming. Diesel placed his posture, and he solemnly opened the first page of his book. The first sequence of Arcane appeared in front of him. No one urged Diesel to skip the order, apparently they were shocked by the big virtual map of the big hand. The second heavy shock soon appeared, and a sharp voice that trembled suddenly sounded, Victor Hugo, is that Victor Hugo? Yes, there is only one Victor Hugo in the magic world, the Lord of Change. Diesel is in the right way, even if it is a self-viewing magician, the Tower Magician will never be underestimated. Create a school of change, and be the legendary magician of the highest peak of the magician. In this preface, Victor Hugo spoke highly of the arcane and the concept of arcane. He also highly recognized and cherished the creator of Zaiwei. The line between the lines is not the kind of predecessor's appreciation of the younger generation. Instead, there is an equal appreciation of the same road explorers. Although Diesel did not clearly realize this, it did not prevent him from having a preliminary curious about the master Sylvester Frost. In general, a book with a sequence is enough, so when Diesel turns to the second page is still a preface, his brow wrinkles, and who is eligible to be with the fifth law preface the book? He quickly got the answer, a familiar name appeared in the end, Dicula, this is the name of the front of the Emperor, compared to the Lord of Change, they are still in the law. The legend of the tower is more familiar. The order of the two legends clearly shocked the table's little friends, and when they saw the opening message of Ziwei, they became more serious and accepted. The Arcane proposed for Ziwei the idea, although the people have not yet fully accepted the identity, but the chest is filled with an inexplicable excitement, shocked by the grand blueprint and the bright future revealed by the lines. 8 meow 8 by, **, GE $8. For a time, the entire bar was quiet, and the 8 high school students of the 1005 Towers joined together and began to read and enjoy the book Arcane. The content of this book has never let them down. Every single article of the 21 papers is so wonderful, people can't help but want to make a case. For those who are busy with the amateur, Arcane is just a storybook that is very interesting to open up people's thinking, but for the 8 high-level magicians of the Rune Tower, each paper is so thought-provoking. Moreover, the authors of these papers have a great reputation. Dissel also saw the name of Didela, Anthony's mentor, and several other masters of magical techniques. The magician's reading ability and memory ability are very abnormal. Diesel flipped through very quickly, and the clock turned to the last page, but it was enough for everyone in the room to take each of the books. The words are deeply imprinted in my mind. Sorry, I have to go back to the lab right away. The Theorem of the Spell Model 5, the application of the Protection School by Master Civifrost is very instructive to the direction of my master. Diesel picked up in the hands of Arcane, a serious face stood up. That's a good time, everyone knows how important the inspiration is for the magician. Although they really want to take a look at this Arcane, they can only watch Dissel leave. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 471. It is the golden autumn season. On the plains in the southern part of the French kingdom, large areas of wheat are planted on the flat land. The fruit trees in the orchard have already contributed all the fruits. Finally, the golden leaves can only be boring. In the mud. The weather is very good and the air is very sunny. This kind of weather is very suitable for going out. At this time, the Viscounts of Vincent will ride their own horses and wear neat safari to cruise in their fields and forests. Sometimes when you are in high spirits, you will organize the hunters and young people in the territory to go deep into the mountains to hunt, then return with the full harvest in the afterglow of the setting sun, and then ignite the campfire in the manor's square. The chef Tom will put these wild game. The taste of the grilled squirting oil can make the boys lick the drool. There are only 5 villages in the territory of Viscount Wenson, adding up to less than 2,000 people. The Wenson family's castle has only 2 floors, and even the walls are replaced by wooden fences, without the nobles who spend a lot of money. A literary and impractical decorative building with a small courtyard with warehouses, stables and vegetable plots. It can be said to be a standard country nobility. Viscount Vincent has been over 50 years old. When he was young, he served as a guardian knight near the Count of Alfonso. He was only 30 years old and had his only son, Trees. For this only son, Viscount Vincent has been very worried. Trees' talent on the road to the Cavaliers is not good, he can hardly sense the existence of chi, and Trees is uneasy from childhood, likes to sway and take risks. It is not an honest child who is willing to inherit the family business in the country territory. Finally, the Viscountian Vincent had to succumb to the heart and sent the only son to the Legrand Knights College in Wangdupai, expecting him to learn more skills and long experience. More than 3 years later, Viscount V. Vincent rarely got news about his son. He only knew that he still studied at the Legrand Knights College. It was not bad, but he did not send him a promotion knight message. The patience of the Viscountian Vincent has been exhausted, and his body has gradually become less tough than ever, and he has to consider the important responsibility of family inheritance. He sent the last letter to Trees and the check of 20 French gold coins, but did not expect that the last thing to come was a short letter. Trees told himself to learn magic. Just kidding, the Vincent family has passed on 7 generations, but never even an ancestor has a magical talent of 1.5 stars. But Fraser is already an adult in his 20s. His will is no longer manipulated by his father. He resolutely chose this path that seems to be entirely a dream. For Fraser's magician pursuit, Viscount Wenson is full of worries. The magicians he knows are powerful and weird. They often do some strange and dangerous magic experiments. He also helped Count Alfonso. A magician friend collected spellcasting materials, fireflies in the woods, black soil in the swamp, and the tail of the gecko. Trees is the only heir and blood of the Vincent family. The older he is, the more he remembers his only son. On this sunny autumn day, Viscount V. Vincent was standing at the highest point of a small hill overlooking the golden fields and forests at the foot, and a new dark green carriage came from a distant road, with the emblem of the Alfonso family. Viscount Wenson was surprised. This narrow road is not a traffic artery. It is only at the end of his own manor. Why is the Alfonso family's carriage appear here? The old Vincent priest rushed down the hill, and the carriage began to slow down, eventually docking outside the largest village in the Viscounty and Viscount. The villagers in this village lived by hunting and planting. Many people went out to the village once or twice in their lifetime. The children were curious around the carriage, and other adult villagers also put down the busy things and started onlookers mode. Captain Sorok, how come you? Viscount V. Vincent rolled over and cuddled with the knight on the carriage. The white-haired knight was his former knight captain, a Fourth Order Intermediate Cavaliers, just retired 2 years ago. Old Vincent, I brought you a very good news this time. Sorok happily patted the shoulders of Viscount Vincent. I brought you your son's letter. My son's letter? How can I be here? Asked the Viscounty Vincent, strangely, that their father and son had been dealing with each other through the postman. The 3 ladies of the Earl's adult, Marnie, are now studying with your son Trees at a magical school. Sorok sent a hearty laugh. I heard that Trees is a very good boy at this Violet Academy. Already a formal magician. Viscount Wenson was hit by a huge surprise in an instant. He knew that the stage of the magic apprentice was on average longer than that of the Cavaliers. His son began to learn magic for half a year. How did he become a magician? Sorok handed a letter wrapped in a thick craft paper to Viscount Vincent. This is your son's letter. The Earl of the Grandpa specifically told me to send it to you. Earl is very appreciative of Trees, he is us. The pride of the Auvergne region. The carriage is a gift from the Countess, there are some fine wines, and there are other good things. I am here to give you these gifts. What a rare news, Trees, this kid was a naughty ghost since he was a child, and the whole village was full of chickens and dogs. When he was 15 or 6 years old, he became the most afraid of the big girl and the little wife. Demon King. I didn't expect to go to the king to learn the knight for a few years, but now I learned to be a magician. The Viscounts of Vincent and the villagers in the territory had a good relationship. Several hunters often hunted and ate together to eat meat, so they boldly came together. Let us help the lords to carry these gifts. The richness of the gift is far beyond the imagination of Viscount Vincent, hundreds of pounds of fat cattle, vats of refined butter, a magic lamp, 3 sets of dresses. Is it true that Trees is a magician? Otherwise, Earl will never give himself so many very useful and valuable gifts. Viscount Vincent was finally unable to control his excitement. Before he entered the manor, he broke open the thick craft envelope with his trembling hands and took out his son's letter. Hola la. A lot of colorful pictures fell from the letter, and a gust of wind blew the colorful pictures, and some of them blew far. Along the way, the curious children who followed the carriage quickly dispersed, just like a butterfly, spread their legs and ran on the roads on both sides of the road, looking for all the colorful pictures scattered with the wind. Come back. God, this is a painting. Look at it. This young man in a black robe is Trees. When he was a child, he also urinated on my neck. I can recognize him at a glance. A middle-aged man, the hunter shouted. "Show me a quick look." The voice of Viscount Vincent made a few trembles. He ran wildly, as strong as he was when he was young. "This is not a painting, but the best-selling magic product of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, a camera. At least 5 gold coins are needed. If you can print a color photo, you need dozens of gold coins. There are only 3 in the Earl's family." Sarok's hands clasped his head and explained his head. The middle-aged hunter quickly handed the photo to Viscount Vincent. Viscount Vincent saw his son at a glance. He had not seen it for 4 years. He grew taller and was not too thin. He wore a black mage robe and held it in his hand. With a thick magic book, it looks full of books, just like the magician that Vincent has seen. Unknowingly, Viscount Vincent is already old and tearful. It is really the ancestors' blessing, the Lord's grace, and Trees is really a talented person, and is the highest-ranking magician. "This is for you, Lord." A young man reluctantly handed a color picture to Viscount Vincent, which is the landscape of the Violet Academy, which captures the most beautiful one when the rising sun rises. The photos taken in an instant shocked everyone who saw the photo. All 20 color photos were returned to the Viscount, and Trees' learning and life trajectory was worn like a pearl. Through these photos, Viscount Vincent finally got to know his son's status quo. It is not a sinister mage tower as you imagined, but a picturesque magician school that is more beautiful than the castle of the Earl family. Living there is a paradise. After a long time, Sarok patted the shoulders of Viscount Vincent. "Old man, your son is really talented. It is much stronger than my 3 sons who are not good." Viscount Vincent finally came out of his emotions. He wiped his tears with tears on his face with tears. "Hey, people are old, tears are crying, I was not like this when I was young. Ha ha ha, I can remember clearly. When the Earl adults organized the cavalry to clear the goblin in the territory, you were blocked by 2 bears in the corner. The crying screaming, the 2 bears goblin can be scared. I just arrived, and a shot from the back pierced the heart of a bear goblin, only to save you back." Sorrows did not hesitate to expose the short of Viscount. The old Viscountcy of Vincent smashed his sleeves. "I was only 15 years old, but I still have no adulthood. Then I will cry again later. Yeah, 40 years have passed in a blink of an eye. You are already 52, and I am 55, Sarok said with emotion. "A few years of good work, then I will see the children. Trees is really amazing now, and the future is boundless. I would rather he inherit the territory safely, marry a good wife, and have a nest of children." The Viscountian Vincent was still suffocating with Sarok. "Your home Trees is already a magician, afraid to find a good wife? How many good girls in the entire Auvergne region are waiting for Trees to pick?" Sarok looked at the distance. "He has a distance," I whispered in the ear of Viscountian Vincent. "The Countess also specifically asked me to inquire about your son and the Vincent family. It seems that Miss Trees and Miss Marnie are likely to come together in the future." The old Viscounty was shocked. Miss Marnie was the 3rd lady of the Earl's family. The earliest year of the Earl's adult is beautiful and lovely. How many family lads are the perfect wife choices? "Father, it took a long time to write to you. I am very sorry, the days in Violet are very busy, I have almost no time to rest, and I am fully devoted to magic learning. After half a year of study, I have been promoted to become a formal magician and belong to the best of all students. I have not let you down, Father. This is a very good school of magic, a responsible mentor, a united and friendly classmate, and a variety of novelty and mysterious experiences belonging to the magician. Here is another world, completely different from Wangdupali, living in a family estate, and I finally found out that this is the best place for me. Maybe you are disappointed, I can't return home to get married in a short time, but my father asks you to rest assured that I will find a wife with common interests and ideals. This time is not too far away. The days in the country are very dull, if you can, I hope that you can come to Violet this winter. I just bought a house in Nanhai town of the port, clean and tidy 2-bedroom, here the winter is very warm, the beauty of the island is sure to be the father you have seen in the photo, but it is a very rare holiday resort. I have been hiding from you all the time, and I have rarely contacted you. I haven't even returned home for 3 consecutive years. The most important reason is that I have been unable to bear to see your backbone and the bones that have begun to bend. Disappointing eyes. This inner burning and roasting makes me unable to calm down and face you. But this year, I can finally straighten my chest, look straight into your eyes, no longer avoid anything. Father, please come to Violet, this winter's birthday, our family together. In this letter with the ticket and route plan, I have already applied for the resident certificate of Nanhai town for you, and everything is ready for you. Love you, Trees, Holy Calendar, September 7, 1787. Old Vincent's eyes were wet again, his vision began to blur, and he could not see the words on his letter. At this moment, all the uneasiness in my heart was finally put down, and Viscount Vincent could finally release the cry, "My son Trees, that is my pride and future." To be continued.